Good morning. It is Thursday, March 26th today. What I'm going to do right now in this video is go ahead and read the social studies passage for today. This is the last social studies passage you'll have to read for the 3 weeks that we're off school here. In regards to this passage, the last passage you read on Tuesday was all about the Athenians in Athens. This passage is going to be about the Spartans, who were another large and dominant group in Greece at the time that we're studying the Greeks. Now, we're going to notice today that the Spartans were, in a lot of ways, very different from the Athenians. So if we remember back to the Athenians, we should remember that one cool thing they did is they advanced the government system from a monarchy to an oligarchy to finally a democracy. Where they had hoped to have most of the citizens in the country have a say in what was going on in their country with their government. We're going to see that the Spartan way of the Spartan governmental system was very different than that. Okay. We also remember back to the Athenians that they wanted to kind of be well-rounded people. So they learned like sports, they learned music. They tried to advance their knowledge and debate and a lot of things like that. So they were very much an intellectual society trying to kind of better themselves with their brains and their thoughts and things like that. So we're going to see that the Spartans are also very different in that respect. Okay? Now, like I said last time, I think one good thing to do when you read a passage like this is to look at your questions that you're going to have to answer before you read the passage so you can have that focus going in. So we're going to look at the questions first for the social studies passage today. Again, it's called Spartan Warriors and the Peloponnesian War. The first question is, how were Spartan women treated? What were they allowed to own and receive? And what were they not allowed to have? So there's kind of three questions there. How were they treated? How were Spartan women treated? What were they allowed to own and receive? And what were they not allowed to have? So as we read, kind of think about those questions. The first paragraph is going to talk about the golden age in Greece. Golden age means like they were it was very prosperous, meaning everything was going very well. But question 2 says, what ended the golden age in Greece? So that means it must mean it's going to be coming to an end here. Then the last question, you might want to look back at the previous passage that we talked about the Athenians. That might help you on this one. So hopefully you still have that other passage that you read on Tuesday. That will probably help you answer question 3. But question 3 is, how would you describe the Spartan culture? How was it different from Athenian culture? So that might be why you want to look back. So in the passage we have today, really look out for what the Spartan culture was like. But then to answer that last question, you might want to look back at our previous passage, and that way you can find some differences between the Athenians and the Spartans. So those are your 3 questions for today. I'm going to go ahead and read the passage now. And remember, there is a box on the bottom right that gives some note-taking strategies. Feel free to use those if you like, but I'm not going to require you to do that. So, Spartan Warriors and the Peloponnesian War. The 2 great city-states during Greece's classical period were Athens and Sparta. The classical period was also known as Greece's Golden Age. Sparta was very different from its rival Athens. The Spartan culture was entirely centered around war. Boys at 7 years old were taken from their families and trained to be soldiers. Their highest aspirations were to dominate the city-states they conquered. So dominate means that they had full control over everything. So when they conquered a city-state, they wanted to have full control over everything. 5 elected members called ephors were magistrates that decided the issues of law. So that's not very many people that are making all the decisions in their culture. They were pragmatic, choosing the practical course that best suited the situation rather than being concerned with the justice of a decision. Today, the word Spartan has come to mean sternly disciplined, So they were very disciplined in what they wanted to do. They knew what they wanted and they were going to focus on it. And rigorously simple, meaning they didn't really think outside the box very much. They just did what they knew and what they thought was best, and that was it. They didn't really try to go on and think about a lot of different things. Next paragraph. Where Athenians appreciated music for listening pleasure, Spartans valued it only as a means to keep step in military exercises. No philosophers ever arose from Spartan culture. The kings who reigned in Sparta had little interest in intellectual pursuits, or you're thinking, you're using your brain to come up with new ideas. That's what intellectual means. Or in the art of philosophy. Its gods were warriors, and every summer, festivities dedicated to Apollo were celebrated. Only these celebrations were more important to the Spartans than war. Disrupting them was considered disrespectful to Apollo and could lead to the god's disfavor. Spartan women were allowed to train alongside the men, but they were not involved in the actual fighting. The thought was that if women were physically fit, they could better bear children and contribute to making sure there were plenty of warriors. Only in Sparta were women allowed to train, but it wasn't seen as a freedom. Women were thought of as property by the men of Sparta. In fact, they got little more respect than the numerous helots, slaves that belonged to the state and were the lowest class in Spartan culture. However, women were allowed to own property and could receive an education, if they so desired. Ironically, they couldn't use their education to have a career or earn money. Last paragraph. Although Athens was the master of the seas, on land, Sparta could not be beaten. So when Sparta attacked Athens in the Peloponnesian War, the Athenian statesman Pericles ordered all people of Athens to take refuge inside the capital's walls. The Spartans' dedication to military greatness made them an invincible force on the battlefield, and Pericles knew that they could not defeat them. In fact, Sparta's defeat of Athens brought an end to the Golden Age in Greece. So that's your passage for today for social studies. I think most of the questions are answered in that passage. And like I said, you might want to look back at the previous passage to help you answer number 3. So, hope you have a great day today.